Welcome to Holistic Human Performance Podcast. My name is Gena Bradshaw, where we talk all things holistic health, wellness, spirituality, fitness, meditation, energetics, and so much more to help you become the healthiest version of yourself. Let's dive in. This is not medical advice. This is simply to help you on your journey through health, fitness, and wellness. I hope this helps. You can complement this with anything that you are doing currently in your life. Enjoy. It is finally here. After 2 years in the making, the HHP app is launched and ready to go. I am so excited. There's been so much blood, sweat, and tears put into this. I wanted to make this something where you can go to right at your fingertips to do wherever, whenever, to integrate a holistic health, wellness, energetic, and spiritual lifestyle. Whether it be on-demand videos, live stream classes, events. We have our community page for us to all interact with one another. We have the shop of holistic products. We have programs right at your fingertips. If you need one-on-one coaching or healings, right there as well. You can literally just click and set it up with yours truly. I'm also bringing on professionals from other industries to come in and speak to us about these certain things like astrology, human design, our functional integrative medical doctors, all different aspects of health, wellness, spirituality right at your fingertips. And you can do this wherever, whenever. I'm so excited for you to be a part of the community. I will see you inside. And guess what? You get a 5-day free trial. Try it out. See if you like it. Cancel whenever you want. I will leave the link in the show notes, and I will see you inside of the Holistic Human Performance app. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Holistic Human Performance Podcast. I'm your host, Gena Bradshaw Vitale, and today we have a very special guest with us. We have Dr. Torkil Faero. He is a GP and emergency physician, documentary filmmaker, author, and photographer. Over a 26-year career as a freelance doctor, he has worked all over Norway, had 100,000 consultations, and thus gained a unique picture of the diseases that plague us. He learned that the cause is most often found in the stresses of lifestyle that we place on our bodies. I'm so excited to have you on. There's so much that you do, and we're going to get very specific into what you wrote your book about, the Pulse Cure, balance stress, optimize health, and live longer. Without further ado, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Gena. Very nice to be here.
Yes. So talk to me about how because you've done so many different things in your life, but it all seems to be connected with what you do. So talk to me about how you even got into the world of becoming a doctor. You know, what was your why behind that? What was that journey like?
Yeah, my journey was that I wanted to discover the world. I wanted to know how we work as humans. I wanted to meet a lot of people. I was curious about what to do. I was thinking of becoming a journalist and such. But I found out that to be on the front row of life, that would be to be a doctor, because you would see anyone, from before they are born until after they're dead. You would see families, you see all kinds of people, and I knew that I would be able to travel around Norway, living in different places. I've always been a freelance doctor, working 2 weeks here, 3 weeks there, all the time, which would give me also leisure time to go travel the world, to do photography. I also did a lot of teaching photography in workshops around the world. So it was a way of making an interesting life with many different variations. I never thought that I would be kind of an expert in anything. I did it to enjoy life and explore. But after a while, let's say 10 years ago, there was a change because my father died and he was 73. And I understood just by looking in the mirror that I started to look like my patients. I was 40 pounds overweight, did not train, did not care about sleep. And I understood that if I continue this lifestyle, which is a normal, standard more or less lifestyle, it's not very extreme in any case.
Right.
But I understood that if I don't change and live more healthy, then I might also just live to be 73 like my dad. And I just decided I needed to find out how to be healthy. Because in medical school, as you may know, we learn how to treat diseases. We didn't know how to create health. So I had
Yeah.
to kind of study again. I had to do it all again, but this time studying what keeps us healthy about nutrition, sleep, diet, exercise, all the new things that we now know can give us a better health. And somewhere along the way, also, I got into using smartwatches and rings and things to detect the heart rate because I learned, through this extra medical study of my own private medical study that heart rate variability is an important metric to gauge the autonomic nervous system.
Mm.
And so I just started being interested in that for my own sake so that I could live longer and healthier. And my publisher asked me if I could write a book about it. And that has been on the bestseller list in Norway for more than a year and a half. So it's been just like this tremendous success. So my life the last 2 years has been just totally changed, upside down. So because yeah, compared to U.S. population, the book would have sold 2.5 million copies of the
Mm.
book. So compared to, Norwegian population. So that is some of the, yeah, it was a bit here and there on this story, but that's kind of sums it up maybe.
Yeah, and I've heard this before with other doctors as well, nurses and other practitioners where they went to medical school. Same point where you got to and they looked in the mirror and they were like, this is not it. Like this is not working for me. And they had to go on their own self-discovery and actually go out in life and experiment and see what worked. So in terms of heart rate variability, because I haven't had anyone come on to speak about this. This is very important. So talk to us about heart rate variability and why it's so important.
So heart rate variability is the variation between heartbeats. And you would maybe think, or I used to think as a doctor, that it was very good to have a very steady, regular heartbeat. But what seems to be better or more important is to have a variation between heartbeats.
Mm,
And the reason behind this is that in the bottom of our nervous system, we have this ancient autonomic nervous system. A nervous system that we share with all vertebrates and mammals, is hundreds of millions of years old. It's the on and off system in our nervous system. The fight, flight, and freeze, the sympathetic part that mobilizes us towards what we want to hunt or flee away from something that's hunting us, chasing us. Um, and we also have the parasympathetic mode, the restful mode, the recovery mode, where all the recovery happens. And the heart rate, luckily, the heart rate can tell us whether we are in the parasympathetic mode or in the sympathetic mode. And this is really important because we need to stay a lot of the time at the day in the parasympathetic mode. And in our modern day, we usually don't. We are
mm,
usually too stressed. We're usually recovering too little. And what this heart rate variability does is that in the parasympathetic mode, in the restful mode, when we breathe in, the heart rate goes up because there's more oxygen in the lungs. When we breathe out, the heart rate goes down. There's less oxygen in the lungs, so it will save a little bit of energy. So that's the way these wearables and smartwatches can detect that we are in the parasympathetic mode. And then in the sympathetic mode, then the heart will beat very steadily, regardless of we breathing in and out. It's like our organism, our ancient organism interprets it as our life is in danger. We are stressed. We have to use all the powers, even if we are less oxygen in the lungs. So, and of course, these smartwatches can detect whether we are in the deep parasympathetic restful mode or in the stressful mode. And it will keep track of that while we are busy living our lives, communicating, doing work, being with our family. And it can tell us whether we are too stressed or if we have a good balance, um, and give us the results so that we are able to navigate this nervous system so that we will not end up with all these stress-related diseases. Because what is special about the medical diseases today is that it's based on low-grade chronic inflammation, which has its basis in too much stress. So it's really important to avoid getting all these diseases that we don't want. So getting control of this autonomic nervous system is so important for our health and well-being as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I actually within this last year, I very much focused on like nervous system regulation and really analyzing and seeing like, wow, I've been in survival mode for a really long time, and I actually noticed it in my physical body, and I started to notice it in clients and students, and I'm like, wow, this is especially I'm gonna be like in the States, it's a big problem. Like it's
Hmm.
obviously a
Oh yeah,
different lifestyle. Yeah. And
yeah.
so teaching people about this is so important. What should people be, I guess, observing and looking for? And do you have a favorite wearable that you recommend to track this?
Yeah, my favorite wearable is Garmin. The
Okay,
Garmin
cool.
watches are by far the most accurate and the ones that will give you these results in a very easy, manageable way so you can understand it, and it's very actionable. So that would be by far the best one. You have also Aura rings, and Samsung has their Galaxy watches and rings and so on. So there's just so many different devices they can use, but Garmin is by far the best one, I would say.
Garmin's my favorite too. We were talking about this
Mm,
before.
yeah.
What should people be looking for? And is there a difference for men and women with HRV? And kind of like, is there specific times that we need to rest? Is there specific times that we need to be more active? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I would say that the average heart rate variability will be quite similar to men and women.
Mm,
But of course, there is the menstrual cycle,
yes.
which will affect your heart rate variability enormously for many women. So if you have PMS symptoms, you can be sure that when you see the graphs from the Garmin watch, you can be sure that the week before menstruation, you will see a huge dip. Actually,
Mm.
this dip is as large as a COVID infection. So when I see 1 week of COVID infection, it can look exactly like a woman with the PMS symptoms. And if you have
Oh,
if you have if you have PMDD symptoms, the kind of more debilitating, bit harder PMS symptoms that puts you out of work, you cannot even work. That will be a really huge dip, even more than a COVID infection. So for so many women, the menstrual cycle leads to then having like a COVID infection every month, a week every month. So it's a huge thing. And the good thing is that once you can recognize that and understand that this week I cannot push myself as hard, I should do more meditation instead of exercise. I should be careful to sleep more. I should not eat, fast carbs and all the crap food because that's will just make it even worse. Stay away from alcohol, all of these things. Then you can mitigate the stress, and that will relieve these PMS symptoms a lot.
mm.
So that is super important for women, although the average heart rate variability number would be quite similar.
And okay, let's talk about alcohol
Hmm.
because I personally don't enjoy drinking. I don't like the hangovers. I just don't enjoy it. I'm
Hmm.
Italian. We grew up with like homemade wine on the table, but that's far and few between. But how does alcohol affect our heart rate variability?
Yeah, alcohol, according to Whoop, Whoop is a bracelet that will track your heart rate variability. They will collect the data from like millions of users, and they say that alcohol is the by far worst stressor. And that anybody who starts tracking their heart rate variability will see that immediately. So,
Mm,
and I think I haven't met anyone starting to track their system that has not cut down on their alcohol consumption.
mm,
Because suddenly you can see the physiological price of alcohol. You can see it in numbers, and it gets more real in that way. So I used to think of hangover and feeling sluggish like a feeling. But when you see the numbers on the heart rate variability and you see the stress levels during the night, you understand that with like 3 glasses of wine, for me, for example, 3 or 4 glasses of wine, I will have 6 hours during the night while I'm sleeping. That is as intense as me having a lecture in front of 200 people. It looks exactly the same, you know.
what?
Yeah. So and of course when I wake up after a night of those 3 or 4 glasses, I feel like I've been having a lecture for 6 hours, right? That's the time of that I feel the most tired, and with a reason. So it's not a feeling, it's just a major physiological load on your system that becomes visible with the heart rate.
Mm, that's not surprising.
And it will also be individual. So some people tolerate it better than others.
Yeah.
So this is a device that will show you how you react to certain things. You know, like as doctors, we're used to like if the question is how much do people respond to 3 glasses of alcohol, you could get an average, but that doesn't mean anything to you because you are most probably far away from this average. So this is a device that will tell you how you react to a certain thing like drinking 3 glasses of wine.
Hmm. That's so interesting. I mean, a lot of people who, I've coached and they'll ask me about alcohol. I'm like, it's not good for you. I mean, like, what else do you want me to say? Like, you could cut back, but at the end of the day, you want my opinion, I'm gonna let you know that it's obviously not the best.
If, absolutely. If you have any kind of disease or symptoms or trouble, or if you have anything you want to accomplish or perform at your best, alcohol is terrible for you.
Yeah.
So and it's a bit tricky because alcohol feels that it calms you down. This
Mm,
is why I used to drink 2 glasses of wine every day, you know,
mm,
almost every day. And that was what we were recommended, even as doctors, you know, until probably 10 years ago. And I used to think it would help me calm down and help me get to sleep. But the problem is after you have gotten to sleep, then the alcohol in your body is converted to acetaldehyde, which is so toxic that it has to be prioritized to get rid of this toxin. And
mm,
that is the problem. But it happens after you have gone to bed, you know, so you don't really understand that.
that's so interesting. Do you find that now, because a lot of people are, especially in the States, are stressed out with just like the bombarding of like extra stimulus, do you find that people who are tracking their heart rate variability become more stressed doing this? Or do you find that's actually had the opposite reaction where now they know enough about themselves to change their lifestyle?
Most people will get less stressed because they will quite fast identify some things that stresses them.
Mm,
You know, like late night meals, eating pizza, you know, could be a trouble for so many people. You know, cutting down on alcohol, prioritizing sleep, it will give them energy. And they will experience that they get control of their system. They understand what it is. It actually, for many people, becomes more fun. It's like a gamification of their health, so they can see the numbers. They get very interested. Uh, but also, of course, and that is, of course, a reason why it has become a bestseller and translated into 8 languages is because people like it. But there would also be somebody who would be too stressed by it, most probably because they will find out that they are too stressed. The watch will reveal what they maybe know at some level that this stress level is not sustainable with good health over time.
yeah.
And they may need to do a lot of work to mitigate the stress levels and get into a healthy stress level. And they may not like what they see, in their stress levels. For me, watching my stress levels was a big shock for me because I used to think that I'm very calm, or I am very calm. I'm not stressed. I'm never in a fight flight mode. I'm an ER doctor. I'm used to be very calm, even in the midst of chaos. And so I was very surprised when I got the results from my wearables that could tell me I was stressed out most of the time. But it was because of food, because I was eating food with gluten. I was eating food
Oh.
with milk, and I did not tolerate that very well. I was eating things with chili. I cannot tolerate that. Uh, Pizzas, alcohol. All of these things were stressing me out that I had never even thought would be, in this stress budget. I didn't think it would have anything to do with stress. So when stressed people when you're talking to stressed people about stress, they would think about mental stress. Is it stress in your work, in your family life, or so on? But what stresses most people is things from surprising, angles from food and alcohol and all of these things. Once you get rid of that, your anxiety level may go down. So maybe what you need to get your anxiety down is to cut out bread and pasta and such things. Many people will find that.
I also found that as well when I would like I'm Italian, but I grew up in a very holistic farm to table style family, and obviously we're exposed to gluten and it's just not the same that it used to be. I found the same thing when I was eating more gluten. Like my sinuses would just swell up. I would get headaches and I would feel more anxious. So I'm glad you brought up that point because it does play a huge role. Our food, you don't even realize it can actually have like this neurological effect on your body.
Yeah, because it will cause an inflammation in your body, and an inflammation will lead to a lower heart rate variability, a higher heart rate. So everything that puts a strain on your body, even mental or physical, will be visible in the heart rate. So that's a good thing that your heart rate is kind of this monitor, like this
Yeah.
speedometer of the intensity and the load on your system. And that makes it easier to navigate, to adjust your levels and understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to shift gears because you've traveled everywhere, it seems like.
Hmm.
What what was your observation with different communities, different areas of the world? Like, what did you observe with those who were healthier and those who were not? What was the lifestyle like? What was I'm so curious to see kind of
Yeah.
how that was created.
Yeah, and then I could probably go to the most extreme example because I was
Yeah.
working in Angola with Doctors Without Borders, and this was before internet. So I came down there. It was a war zone, a lot of famine, a lot
Wow.
of people dying, both from explosives and also from hunger and hunger related diseases, just like pneumonia, malaria, malnutrition, and so on.
Mm,
But being there, the ones they were very vital. That they were smiling, they were happy even under those circumstances, and they seemed to have a lot of meaning in their lives. And my big surprise actually was when I came home to Norway, where we kind of have everything, and people were like sullen faces. They were seemed, dissatisfied people, complaining about minute details of anything. So I could, and also saw the same. I was having a photographic workshop in Ethiopia just to see their energy level, how they could be running, for 2 hours to the next village just to go to school and being in such a good shape, being so happy. You could you could see in their faces and eyes, that they're so vibrant. So I understood that there's something about the way that they're living, in tight communities, being social, being in contact with nature, out in the sun, sleeping at night, it's dark, so on. That would be very healthy. And what we can see with the wearables is that there's so many things about our modern life that we are not made for and that will be against our biology, and it will be showing in the heart rate. We are living inside 97% of the time. We're not made for that. We are made to get out in the sun, out in nature, getting sun exposure, also getting the phytochemicals from the trees, from the flowers and all that, that will cooperate with our immune system to make it stronger. So much research on that. And being social, we are so much more lonely. We are chasing small dopamine kicks, using our phones. Um, we have everybody's comparing themselves to everybody else in the social media universe, to the Kardashians and Taylor Swifts and what have you, of all these stars. We are always in a comfortable temperature. We are sitting too much. We are being moved around instead of moving ourselves. And all of this makes us weaker also physiologically, that we cannot tolerate as much stress. So too much stress is a matter of, the difference between our capacity and the load in our system. So also having a low capacity, having poor mitochondria, a poor VO2 max, a poor fitness level will also make that just daily normal activities will be too much. So I can
Mm,
see that when I see the graphs of people who have a poor fitness level, that they will be stressed most of the day just by doing daily activities.
wow.
So so
So
that was a
simple.
surprise. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And it's so simple, like to get outside in nature. It's even if it is cold outside, going for a brisk walk outside in the cold weather is actually beneficial for your cortisol levels, your entire physiological system. That's really eye-opening, and I'm so glad that you said that because, these are countries that don't have much, and yet they're so
Mm.
happy just from what they have and being outside and, living
Mm.
their
Yeah,
lives.
they seem to be grateful to be alive,
Yeah.
and they seem to be focusing on what they had, while we at home often are focused on what we don't have. Of
Mm,
course, aided by, commercial interests and so on, that will always tell us that we need to buy something to be happy.
right.
So of course they had, and what was interesting to me was that in Angola, in the war zone, okay, they had obvious trouble. One, there was 3 children dying every day on my department in the pediatrics,
Ugh.
and half of the population had died. So it's of course they had lots of their own troubles, but seeing the vitality in them compared to the lack of vitality in my home, and that was less understandable. Why did we feel this way when we have all the opportunities, when we live under circumstances unheard of, throughout history, and still we're not happy and chasing something else. So that just sparked my curiosity. So that's kind of part of my journey into to health, and part of it is this autonomic nervous system that they had, because they were active, but they were also resting.
Mm,
They were sleeping at night, it was dark. They were being together, feeling safe, together. So it was a very interesting period in my life, yeah.
yeah, very commendable too to work with communities like that and like a bigger cause,
Hmm.
bigger than yourself. So I commend you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
So as we wrap up, what are some words of wisdom you have for the listeners?
Words of wisdom. Wow. I'm not sure. I would then say that I think it's possible to take more control of your health than you would think. That by being more active, living a bit more like in these ancestral ways, not in total, but that if you can do more of that healthy living, you will be rewarded both in your daily life with more well-being and energy, but also then improve your chances of being vital into old age. So
Mm.
I'm not sure if that was a word of wisdom, but
No, that's whatever came to mind. I love it. Thank you.
yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So Dr. Torkil, where can people find you?
Yeah, for example, my book they can find anywhere. It's a normal published book, so you can get it on Amazon on or any other outlet. It's also an an audiobook. So many people like rather to listen to books. They can do workouts and go out in nature if they want to. And I'm on Instagram. I'm Dr. Torkil on Instagram. So. And I'm on my normal name in LinkedIn and such places. And
Got
we
it.
also have a website called thepulsecure.com where it's possible to see some material, some video lectures and so on. So
Oh, great. So I'll add
awesome.
all of that in the show notes so you all can find him. Thank you so much for coming on. It was so knowledgeable. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your story. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Jenna. It's so nice to be able to tell it to you.
Yes. All right, guys. If you like this episode, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.